Homeopathy is something that we all know a little bit about, but if, like me, you're not fully versed on it, well, never fear, because Mark O'Sullivan is here to talk us through the whole idea of homeopathy. Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
No problem.
I think first and foremost, we need to start off with, what exactly is homeopathy?
Well, homeopathy is a system of medicine where we use remedies that are derived from natural substances to stimulate the body's own self-healing capabilities.
Okay, so natural substances.
Natural substances, they could be plants, they could be minerals, they could even be animals.
That's weird.
It is.
Animals?
Yeah.
How would it be animals?
Yeah, we have remedies made out of bees and ants.
Right.
Yeah, like bees when you have a bee sting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I should explain that homeopathy works by what we call the principle of similars, which is that we give something to somebody that would actually cause the symptoms if they were healthy. So if you, so like the bee sting, for example, somebody gets stung by a bee, they come out in a big red rash, right? These big red, shiny, itchy.
I've been stung by a bee before. I know.
And sometimes people go into anaphylaxis as well with bee stings. You know, they get swollen glands and they go through a kind of a toxic shock reaction. Apis is a remedy for that. So anything, say if you have an allergy and these things come up and they look like bee stings, then you would give a remedy made from bee stings.
Right.
So you give basically, you treat like with like.
Okay.
Another classic example is the onions. So if somebody has hay fever and their eyes are streaming and they're sneezing, like when you chop onions.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
So you give them a remedy made out of onions. So
that's really unusual when you say it like that, though.
It's homeopathy, so it's you treat like with like, and kind of popularly you could say like the hair of the dog, or giving a person a taste of their own medicine.
Okay.
You know, or fighting fire with fire.
Fire with fire.
Yeah, you know those kinds of popular colloquialisms kind of encapsulate the law of similars, as we would put it. So we make these remedies, and there's a couple of examples here. We make the remedies, but a lot of them are made from very toxic substances, because if somebody's very sick, then they're obviously exhibiting the symptoms of something that's quite toxic. So, for example, with arsenic. If somebody actually was poisoned with arsenic, they'd be freezing, they'd be afraid of dying, they'd have diarrhea, they'd be sweating.
Oh, not good.
In fact, it looks kind of like food poisoning.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? So that's why we make a remedy from arsenic. We grind it down into very, very small pieces and then dilute it and shake it. Dilute it and shake it. Now, this is the controversial part of homeopathy.
Right.
Yeah.
We like controversy.
Well, there's no molecule.
There's no molecule.
It's so diluted. There's actually no molecule left of the original substance, and this is why it provokes such sometimes violent reactions from people who think that that's just. Violent as in opinionated.
Yeah, yeah.
People think it's just nonsense and put it out the window. But when you see it working, particularly on children, and animals, and plants. Plants.
How does it work on plants?
Well, you treat the plants like a person. So if they have kind of like the example of the guy who developed this system of agro-homeopathy, which is homeopathy taken into the realm of plants, he was first asked to treat an apple tree.
Right.
He was treating this entire family for all of their ailments. He's a very experienced homeopath. And they had orchards. And they took this guy out and they said, look, we have this terrible problem with this rust that's come in and it's attacked the apple trees and it's like on 3 of them now and it's spreading quickly. Can you do something about it? Because otherwise our livelihood is under damage.
And what did he do?
So he went, well, I don't treat plants, I treat people. And he goes, well, you have the knowledge, so go out and have a look. So he had a look and he said, okay, there's a red rash or a red mold. The plant is thirsty because it needs more water. Its leaves are drooping more often after being watered.
Right.
And it's very quick. So if it was a person, he said, if this was a person, I was treating a person, it would be a rash, it would be a fever, and it would be thirst. And you'd give a remedy, belladonna. Belladonna is the remedy that you would give. It's a classic fever remedy, particularly in children that run really, really high fevers or convulsions and seizures.
So he
gave
the apple tree.
He gave the apple tree belladonna, and
the tree was fine.
The rash disappeared after 2 days, and the apples even tasted better.
Okay.
So after that, he took that and he developed this whole system. And the star of the show is the slug remedy.
Okay, so you can treat your plants.
You can treat it. There's a remedy that's made out of a snail, and you spray it on your plants. And give it about up to 3 days, and all of a sudden the slugs will find those plants very unappetizing. And I've tested it, I've sent it out to friends, and it's worked.
Okay, well let's get back to people just for a second.
All right, fine.
Because all these different remedies, they all treat different symptoms.
Yes.
That people can suffer from.
Yes.
Like, can you just really quickly give us a brief example of different types?
Okay, well, a homeopath is interested in the symptoms a person has, not necessarily what they're called in a disease label.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so if somebody has lower back pain, for example, a homeopath will sit them down and go, okay, well, is it better for heat or worse for heat? Is it better when you stand up? What was happening around the time you got the lower back pain? Was it an accident, an injury, or was it something else? Was it like a chronic condition? All of these things will have an effect on the choice of remedy.
Right.
So we don't come along, like 10 people could come for lower back pain.
And there could be 10 different reasons
could be 10
why,
different
10
remedies.
different
Could be 10 different remedies. So like a conventional doctor is interested in what makes diseases the same, whereas we're interested in what characterizes your individual condition, what individualizes it for you.
So it could be like a physical ache or pain.
It could be a physical ache or pain. It could be an emotional. It could be a mental or emotional issue.
Okay.
And I mean, I've had some success, for example, treating kids with cerebral palsy, and there's also been some progress done treating kids with autism.
Right.
Homeopathy is very well known, if you like, not necessarily in the mainstream, but certainly within the parents who have autistic children, very well known treatment for autism.
Okay, so essentially it's the same. Well, it's not the same, but it's similar to going to a GP for an ache, pain, or ailment.
Exactly.
Flu, you know, ache, pain, all that sort of thing. But it's just done in a different way.
I often say it's like being a mixture between a GP and a shrink.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned to me as well was the fact that it really works for pregnant women.
Yes.
Because you're not, you know, there's certain things you're not allowed to take.
Yes.
So these remedies work very well for those.
And infants, because there's no molecules, there's no physical substance in it. Okay, we would say that the water, the structure of the water remembers the information of the remedy. Okay. That's the controversial bit. However, so I mean, loads of things are contraindicated in pregnancy. You can't take anything when you're pregnant. You can't take drugs. You can't even take, in aromatherapy, there's only one essential oil that you can use with a pregnant woman.
Really?
Yeah, lavender.
Okay.
So even something as gentle as aromatherapy, there's all this stuff that's contraindicated in pregnancy. But homeopathy, actually I had a case last week of a lady who couldn't hold down food for the last... Morning sickness. A really, really severe case of morning sickness. And gone. Now, over the weekend, yeah. Tried one remedy, didn't work. Tried a second one, did.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, you also brought in a number of books. These are kind of beginner books for
yes,
people who are
these
interested.
are excellent and introductory books.
Okay.
Now, this one is the one about plants. Homeopathy for Farm and Garden. So that's all about treating plants with homeopathy and how to do that. Right?
Okay.
So you can treat practically everything. Carrot, root fly, all of the different kinds of worms and beetles and caterpillars. As well as all the kind of rusts, molds and diseases. It's a very exciting area.
For mums and babies?
Mums and babies. And that's not just for homeopathy, it's a great general advice book on, as I know from experience, for raising a kid and dealing with colic and teething and all of those different things.
And then the very last one, is this more general one?
This is a more general one. This is the kind of the family home prescriber book. Yeah, that's Miranda Castro's Complete Homeopathy Handbook. And most people start with that. That's a bit like attending first year in homeopathy college, that book.
Really?
If you master that, you get most of your acutes, most of the flus and coughs and colds and things like that.
Oh, perfect. Well, listen, thank you so much. It's very interesting. It is a very interesting topic, so thank you so much for coming in and explaining.
My pleasure.
Explaining it all to us. Thank you so much.
You can visit my website, homeopath.ie. Homeopath.ie.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark.
My pleasure.
Mark O'Sullivan there, and as he said, homeopath.ie is the website. And if you want to get your hands on any of those books, you can email us if you want the names of them. You can email the evening show at city.ie and we'd be happy to pass you on all that information.